Because I wanted to get back with my ex, I drank a pound of white wine. As a result, it was too dark and could not be seen clearly. He mistook her for her roommate. I fell within an inch of the kiss. While kissing passionately, my ex-lover came back. I hugged her roommate tightly and hid behind the bed curtain. "Don't go out, please. I agree to do everything." She is cold, arrogant, and never smiles. She looked down at me, confused, but smiled. She said, "It's you who said it." The third day after the breakup, I got drunk under the influence of alcohol. I called my ex. "I'm under your dorm. I'm so annoying, we broke up, don't break up. What's wrong with you?" She coldly hung up. I was heartbroken and suffocated, my mind spinning. I looked up at the dormitory in front of me, stood up, rushed inside, and ran straight to the third floor. Opening the door to Lu Nguyen's room, she was probably the only one there. The room had no lights on, very dark, only light from the window. I saw Lu Nguyen standing next to the bed, warm emotions welling up. I rushed straight at her. Lu Nguyen stiffened but did not push me away. I know she only said harsh words because she was angry. I choked, hugging tighter. She once blamed me for being too obedient and not proactive. I leaned over her trembling body and gently bit her neck. She moaned softly. I reached for her lips and kissed her awkwardly. She finally responded, placing her hands on my waist. Amidst my quick breaths, I called her name, Lu Nguyen. She suddenly stopped. My hand caressed her spine, slowly moving down. Fingers slid across the body's curves, but someone held them tightly. I raised my head and the person in front of me smiled coldly. Slow voice, "Have you touched it yet?" The light from the window shines in. I saw strange but strangely beautiful eyes. Not Lu Nguyen. She is not Lu Nguyen. I was numb from the alcohol. After 2 slow seconds, the claw exploded. At that moment, Lu Nguyen's voice rang out outside. "Do you want Ly Mo Yuyen to play tennis?" I swear I have never acted so quickly in my entire life. I hugged the person in front of me and rolled onto the bed, not forgetting to close the bed curtain. The dormitory bed was cramped. I hugged her waist, my heart pounding with tension. Her chest rose and fell violently, pressing tightly against her soft chest. "Why don't you turn on the lights?" Lu Nguyen walked in and squeezed. The dormitory lights are bright. I finally saw the girl's face clearly in front of me. She turned her face to the side, her nose was high and straight, her eyebrows and eyes were deep. My lips were bitten red, my white neck was full of red kiss marks. I realized and blushed, not daring to move. Lu Nguyen said nothing, mumbling to herself. Duong Lu saw the bed curtain pulled tight again. The sound of footsteps gradually approached. "Ly Mo Yuyen, are you in bed?" The girl in front of her suddenly raised her hand as if she wanted to open the curtain. I quickly grabbed her collar. "Dang, I agree to everything." Ly Mo Yuyen stopped, bowed her head and looked at me with a meaningful smile in her eyes. "You said it." Her hand pulled the curtain closer, not revealing any gaps. "I'm going to bed," she said. "Why sleep so early?" Lu Nguyen seemed a bit disappointed. "We're still waiting for you to go to the hospital. The kids over there went to the soccer field to make fun." "Okay, I'm tired," Lu Nguyen sighed. "Okay, I won't go either, otherwise I'll just lose more face." The sound of a chair being pulled down to sit down rang out. She started babbling. "Do you miss my boyfriend?" Bang is from the literature department. Don't fall in love with that type of person. They're very attached to people. Even though they've been dumped, they're still attracted to them. The important thing is that it is a gentle type. The more I think about it, the more upset I feel. I feel suffocated. My hand clung to Liamoyuyan's shirt, trembling. Why doesn't he look for me anymore? Lu Nuyen stood up. Didn't do anything foolish, right? It affects my ability to keep my comb. Okay, let me call and see. Before I could react, my phone suddenly rang. I frantically turned off the sound. It was quiet outside for a few seconds, then I heard Lu Nuyen's footsteps approaching. She asked coldly, "Is there anyone on the app?" It's over. I closed my eyes, my face filled with resignation. Just as the person outside was about to pull the curtain open, Liamoyuyan held it tightly. "You know there's someone there, but you still don't get out." Lu Nuyen paused, then smiled evilly. "I wonder which guy made this icy Moyuyan change like that." Liamoyuyan's voice was cold. "What does it have to do with you?" Okay. I'm going to find my licking game. I won't bother you two anymore." The sound of Lu Nuyen's footsteps gradually faded away. Before leaving, she didn't forget to close the door. The dormitory was quiet again. I raised my head to look into Liamoyuyan's cold eyes. Only then did I realize we were still glued to each other. I quickly pulled the curtain open and stood up. Sorry. I stood up a bit forcefully, my eyes suddenly went dark. Feeling like I was about to fall, a small hand held my waist. Then pulled me forward. I once again fell into Liamoyuyan's arms. Her breath was filled with a dark but pleasant fragrance from her body. The air was gloomy, my face was hot. She lowered her head to look at me, her eyes as deep as the abyss. She called my name, Vong Lam. "You just bit me 17 times. Before I met Lu Nuyen, I had heard the name Liamoyuyan. Great professor of physics, expert on the tennis court, but always quiet and cold, always keeping a distance from others. After dating Lu Nuyen, because I lived in the same dorm, I met her a few times but hardly talked. Unexpectedly, she remembered my name. She could taste how many times I bit her. My mind was foggy, trying to think of how to answer. Suddenly, my brain seemed clear. I suddenly pulled her collar. She was surprised. I tilted my head and smiled mischievously. "Bite back, okay?" Liamoyuyan saw that she was not moving. "I think she's hesitant." "Don't worry, I'm not afraid." As I said that, I came closer. Unexpectedly, she slipped and went through the door, hitting her green bones. My head rang with a sound. Then he spoke slowly as if laughing, "Need 18th. "Me too," she finished speaking and hung up. If it were yesterday, I would be heartbroken. But now, my mind only thinks about Liamoyuyan and how to return her shirt. Tutu asked softly, "Vong Lam, don't be too sad. Do you want to go to the physics department's tennis match this afternoon?" I jumped up from bed, put on my shirt, went to pull it and dry it. The kids were about to return the male toy to Liamoyuyan and looked at me hesitantly. "Vong Lam, I know you still miss Lu Nuyen, but don't force yourself to do something you don't want to do." "I don't care." "What about your neck?" I turned my head to look in the mirror. There was a clear hickey on her white neck. One part of my head felt like it was exploding. Is it Liamoyuyan? Did she really bite back? I don't remember anything. It's not what you think. I don't know how to explain this to the Dunam. Hit the village and avoid it. This afternoon, when I went to the tennis court, I intentionally wore a high-collared shirt. There were a lot of people who came to watch. The Department of Physics played against the Academy of Engineering. The strength of both sides is equal, both have twin players. From afar, I saw Lu Nuyen, with an arrogant expression, interacting with the audience. Next to me is the person drinking water, with a cold face, long neck and thin body, raised high and not hiding the kiss mark I left behind. My face immediately became hot. She suddenly looked towards me from afar. Among the crowd, it seemed to have seen me. I quickly avoided the lingering eyes. Seeing her smile slightly, she seemed to curl her lips. The match begins. Both sides played their best, but Lia Mo Yuyan quickly stood out in the middle of the field. In the end, she ended the match with a beautiful claw smash. The whole yard cheered. Lu Nuyen looked very uncomfortable. I slowly squeezed into the yard. Ms. Mo Yuyan plays really well in this battle. Your boyfriend will definitely fall in love with it. Look, on her neck. My God, who can keep falling for Ms. Mo Yuyan? The players scattered around. As soon as I got closer, I saw Lu Nuyen walking towards a handsome guy. She handed him a bottle of water, looking pleased. I didn't play well today. Sorry for disappointing you. As she spoke, she naturally took his arm. I felt my heart ache. We just broke up 3 days ago. Just 3 days later, anger surged. I rushed straight towards them. Lu Nuyen saw me, her eyes slightly panicked. She looked at the other guy, looking scared. I said nonsense. Just pulled me away. I forcefully pushed her hand away. Lu Nuyen, we just broke up, right? The other boy was surprised. Just broke up? The football field was now empty, but there were still a few people watching. I quickly surrounded Lu Nuyen. She walked away bored. I looked straight at the guy. That's right, we just broke up 3 days ago. The boy was angry, threw a water bottle at Lu Nuyen, cursed you promiscuous and left. Lu Nuyen immediately got mad. Von Lam, are you crazy? I told you we broke up, why are you still clinging to me? After saying that, she grabbed my collar and tried to pull me away. I tugged at the collar and it opened, revealing the hickey on my neck. Just like that, it's clearly exposed, not hidden at all. Lu Nuyen froze for 2 seconds, suddenly tightened her collar, and shouted angrily, "Who did that? You dare say we just broke up? We just broke up and already let someone else bite your neck?" With a loud bang, Lu Nuyen staggered. She immediately let go of me. A tennis ball bounces up and down on the ground. Lu Nuyen held her head angrily and turned back. Lia Mo Yuyan, expressionless, picked up the ball and said coldly, "Accidental mistake." The surroundings suddenly became silent. Lu Nuyen was stunned, but quickly regained her angry expression. The atmosphere was so tense that it seemed like it was about to explode, as the two people were about to rush into each other. The tennis team captain hurriedly walked out. We're all sisters, there's no need to make a big deal out of it. There's a victory party tonight, let's go drink together. As he spoke, he pulled the two people out. Other members also stepped forward to separate them. I was pushed out of the crowd. Lu Nuyen snorted coldly, pretending to be calm. It's okay, we're both sisters. You're the one being held up by someone, so it's a bit uncomfortable. Anyway, I don't like him anymore. Lia Mo Yuyan's eyes fell on me, full of meaning. From afar, my eyes met hers. I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came out. I clenched my fists, turned around in confusion and ran away, hiding in my shell like a turtle. By the time it got dark, Lia Mo Yuyan's last eyes kept flashing in my mind. She probably hates me so much, being forced to kiss me and then being talked about by her friends. Yet I didn't dare speak up for her. Von Lam, want to eat? From the men's clothes asked softly. I jumped up from the bed. No, I'm not going. There are more important things. I jumped out of bed and picked up Lia Mo Yuyan's coat. Anyway, I have to give her the shirt back. If I have time, I will apologize to her too. Celebration parties are also easy to find. Lu Nguyen took me there once. When I got to the door, I heard the girls inside cheering. The door creaked open. The scene inside stunned me. Lu Nguyen is confessing her love to a boy, and that boy is the one who scolded her for green tea on the field. Know Hao said, "I've liked you since high school. My ex-boyfriend and I only knew each other for a short time, nothing really happened. Only after being with him did I realize that the person I always liked was you. I can't change to anyone else. I'm sorry for hurting you. You can scold me or hit me if you want. I just hope you can accept me." Lu Nguyen said a lot. She looked drunk, but not really. We've been together for almost 2 years. It's her pursuing me. She said she only liked me her whole life. Nothing happened because I refused to be intimate, but in the end everything in her mouth turns into something else just because she wants to pursue someone else. So why did you promise to love me forever at first, only to have to lower your self-esteem and hold on? I think she still loves me. I think she still has me in her heart. The shouting in this room became louder, some people whistled, some shouted kiss. I couldn't stand it anymore and staggered back. "Von Lam, what are you doing here?" Suddenly someone called me from behind. As a familiar member of the team, he arrived late, seemingly unaware of what was going on in the room. "Did you come to find Lu Nguyen?" Before I could deny it, the door suddenly opened and I appeared disheveled in front of everyone. The noise suddenly stopped, all eyes turned to me, including Lu Nguyen. She smiled slightly then turned to Know Hao under my gaze. She kissed him, the cheers were loud, the whistle was like an ocean wave coming and engulfing me. I couldn't breathe, everything in front of my eyes gradually became blurry. My legs felt like they were falling apart and I couldn't lift them. Lu Nguyen, he took Know Hao like a winner looked at me. "Sorry, I already have someone who likes me. Hope you don't bother me anymore. Hope you find your happiness soon." It's funny, the one who said he loved me was her, the one who said goodbye was her. In front of her new lover, she pretended to be with Truc Phuc. I pretended generously, also her. I stepped forward, stopping in front of Lu Nguyen. She reflexively frowned. The next second, I picked up the glass of wine on the table and threw it all over Lu Nguyen's face. Know Hao shouted, everyone also cried out in panic. Lu Nguyen's face turned red and she stared at me. But because Know Hao was there, she tried to suppress her anger. "Wish you happiness." I smiled then turned to Know Hao, "You too." Having finished speaking, I turned around and left. I reminded him once, but he still chose the opportunity. Lu Nguyen. I understand that when in love, men will not believe anyone's words, and neither did I at that time. Now it's his turn. I tried to leave the restaurant but couldn't hold it in anymore. I sat down on a high ladder holding my bag of clothes and sobbed. Apparently, she only came to see Liam Nguyen to pick up things, but Lu Nguyen misunderstood that I was bothering her, and even boasted about my feelings in front of me, but Liam Nguyen was not there. The more I think, the sadder I become. Tears kept falling. When I cried to the point of despair, a pair of long legs appeared in front of me. I raised my head in tears and saw Liam Nguyen's beautiful eyes. She slowly sat down and took her shirt out of her bag. I hugged her gently, reaching out to wipe away my tears. I was stunned. I forgot to cry. She slowly wiped away my tears. Her movements were very gentle, like she was wiping a treasure. She intentionally made me laugh. Some of the recruits absorbed the water really well. I burst out laughing through my tears. She sat down wearing a ladder below me. I looked up and said sorry for that day. That day I drank too much and couldn't control myself. Sorry for forcing you to do that, and for when Lu Nuyen said bad things about you. I don't speak up to defend you either. Liam Yuyan interrupted, looking at me intently. The light wind blowing through her hair made her hair flutter. Do you think it's okay if I don't want you? I was stunned. In the distance, girls' voices suddenly sounded. Oh come on, Lu Nuyen's group's meal seems to have ended. Liam Yuyan was completely unaffected. She looked at me, her eyes very deep. Do you remember what you promised me that day? I nodded vaguely. Behind me, footsteps were heard. Liam Yuyan burst out laughing. She hadn't finished speaking yet. The next second, Lu Nuyen took No Hao's arm and a group of teammates appeared in front of us. Someone saw us first. Liam Yuyan, why are you here? Their eyes stopped on me. Everyone was surprised, afraid they would misunderstand and make Liam Yuyan uncomfortable. I quickly stood up. It was just a coincidence. I was waiting for her. Liam Yuyan and I explained in unison. Everyone became even more confused, but someone quickly smiled meaningfully. Lu Nuyen seems to be okay. Quite a few reactions are a beat slower. No Hao, what did you say? Everyone noticed. The atmosphere became tense and she quickly stopped Lu Nuyen. No Hao also pulled her back. She gradually became more alert and chuckled. It has nothing to do with me anyway. She turned away for a few steps but suddenly turned back. What's that mark on your neck? She glared at me then turned to look at Liam Yuyan, and also at her neck. Finally, she realized. So the man from last night was still angry inside her. She rushed forward to grab me, but before she could touch me, Liam Yuyan stopped her. She slowly moved to see more. She said coldly, Lu Nuyen, it seems I didn't expect her to protect me. She stepped back, smirking. I really didn't expect you to be so good at hiding it. You're truly a master at shaking both hands. Liam Yuyan smiled coldly. Sorry, he broke up with you yesterday. If I remember correctly, you and your current boyfriend have been together for a long time. No Hao's face changed. Lu Nuyen suddenly stepped forward to defend No Hao, but once again Liam Yuyan easily held back when she tried to lay hands on me. Lu Nuyen is not her opponent, let alone is still building a team of teammates. Seeing that the situation was not good, he quickly pulled Lu Nuyen out. We're all sisters. The group kept pulling back and forth. Lu Nuyen suddenly covered her mouth, turned her head and vomited. Everyone quickly turned their attention to her. Let's go. Emperor Liam Yuyan raised his chin and looked at me. I didn't hesitate and followed her out of there. On the way back to school, I softly thanked her. Face without emotion. No need. Liam Yuyan glanced at her lips. Before they came, what were you going to say? Liam Yuyan suddenly stopped. Star? So this time it's me. Looking up at her, the wind made my eyes cold but not too cold. She lowered her head to look at me, her eyes deep as if she was thinking again, as if she was hesitant. After a while, she asked, do you still like Lu Nuyen? I didn't hesitate, of course not. She smiled a sinister, mischievous smile. This usually serious face. Temporary debt first, rest assured, no interest will be charged. That night, I carried Liam Yuyan's things back to the dormitory. Tu Dunam hesitated and asked, Vong Lam, is the shirt you are holding Liam Yuyan's? I was stunned. How did you know? Someone has already posted on the school's anonymous forum. I quickly opened the forum. The post is up, it's over. Someone took a picture of me and Lu Nuyen when there was a conflict on the tennis court and also the scene of Liam Yuyan throwing the ball at Lu Nuyen. Liam Yuyan did it on purpose, right? It's definitely intentional. Tell me, does she like her ex-boyfriend? Lu Nuyen didn't break up but is now involved with his ex-girlfriend's friend. Above said that box standard task is to immediately remove those romance novels, no kidding. Zoom in and see the shirt he's holding, it looks exactly like Liam Yuyan's shirt. After just one night, the post climbed to the top of the board, everyone was talking loudly. I don't know if it will cause trouble for Liam Yuyan. I was just about to text her to explain when I saw that in a series of anonymous comments, a real user replied, Liam Yuyan loves dreams, that's my shirt. She really likes to watch fun. Sure enough, after posting that comment, the article became even hotter. The owner admitted it, right? Liam Yuyan really likes her sister's boyfriend, but it's okay. But wasn't Lu Nuyen already involved with someone else? Everyone knows that. The words on the post made me angry, so I closed it. As soon as I turned it off, a friend request appeared. I am Liam Yuyan. Covering my face, I cried out, suddenly hearing someone call my name. I raised my head and saw Lu Nuyen coming. It's been over a month since I've seen her. She slowly approached me. I smelled alcohol on her and frowned slightly. I broke up with no how. She's a bit lethargic, I don't want to pay attention. The car the person was about to take was stopped. I didn't know how to appreciate it before. Can you give me another chance? I pulled away forcefully, let go, I already have a girlfriend. She still refused to give up. I know you're not dating Liam Yuyan. You're just trying to annoy me. She was about to say something more when someone suddenly pulled my wrist. She let go of her hand in pain. Liam Yuyan, my girlfriend is here. Try touching me again. Seeing that Lu Nuyen still didn't believe me, I quickly hugged Liam Yuyan tightly. She obviously paused for a moment, but quickly regained her composure. She coldly spoke, Lu Nuyen, if you dare to harass my boyfriend again, I will not show mercy. The word boyfriend makes my face turn red. Lu Nuyen was about to move forward but was pushed away again by Liam Yuyan. She seemed to have drunk quite a bit. Walking unsteadily, his mouth kept muttering curses. Finally, Noao found Lu Nuyen. He called her name when he saw me and Liam Yuyan. At that moment he seemed to understand something. You just had an argument with me and then you ran to find him? So they haven't broken up yet. Lu Nuyen muttered, don't worry, okay? What if it's true? What does it have to do with you? Suddenly, Lu Nuyen's face turned red. Noao looked at her. I shouldn't have gotten involved with you. Having finished speaking, he turned and left. Lu Nuyen seemed to be awakened by that slap. She looked at me, then looked at Noao who was leaving and ran after me. I pouted, praying to God not to let me see this couple again in the future. Liam Yuyan turned around. I just realized I was still holding her arm. Just let go. I just said you were my girlfriend just to anger Lu Nuyen. Well, don't take it to heart. For some reason, I felt her eyes were a bit dark. I hastily explained, but I also don't just want to tease her. The explanation became more and more confusing, to the point where I didn't know what to say next. Liam Yuyan smiled. Do you remember when you promised me you would agree to anything? Do you remember? I was a little stunned. Remember, does it still count now? Of course, I smiled wryly. So are you willing to be with me? That sentence was like a flower exploding in my head. It took me a while to regain my composure, but my first reaction was confusion. Actually, I have a lot of bad habits, being lazy, not liking to exercise and being picky about eating. Furthermore, I am completely ignorant of the natural subjects, formulas and principles that you learn. I don't understand anything. Before, Lu Nuyen always said that she and I did not have a common language. I suddenly fell silent. Liam Yuyan gently hugged me. You don't have to understand everything. We will always have a common voice. Her voice is gentle and warm. So do you agree? I nodded stupidly. She smiled brightly again, her eyes curved as if filled with moonlight. You know what? Her voice was hoarse. The bacteria exchanged when people kiss are even more worthy of study than the B particle. Under the moonlight, the kiss she placed was gentle and warm. I whispered in her ear, I like you. I was startled and almost dropped the phone. I paused for a moment before clicking accept. I was still thinking about whether to send a hello or something when Liam Yuyan texted, I've contacted the admin to delete the post. How did she know I had already seen the message? Do you have early class tomorrow? I was stunned. That's it, let's go have breakfast together. I was completely stunned, a strange and drunken feeling rose in my heart, but I couldn't hate it at all. Sleep well, she said. I hugged my phone and lay on the bed, the strange feeling in my heart grew bigger and bigger, warm and sweet. I held the phone, feeling my heart beating rapidly. After a week of having breakfast with Liam Yuyan, I realized that she seemed to be pursuing me, but I didn't understand why. We had no communication before. I was even her roommate's boyfriend, but I didn't dare ask. I just hesitantly asked her if Lu Nuyen was bothering her. I've already changed dorms. She answered, making me feel guilty. If it weren't for you, I would have hated her long ago. She bluntly interrupted me, want to go to the movies with me tonight? I froze and nodded. Okay. It wasn't until tomorrow afternoon that I realized this invitation was no different than a date. That thought makes me sad and restless. I was struggling to choose things in the room the whole time. Finally, I texted Liam Yuyan, what time will we leave? A moment later, she replied, sorry, please wait a moment. I'm still in the lab. It's okay, no rush. I hesitated a bit, thinking that the physics department experimental building wasn't far, so I walked over there. As soon as I arrived downstairs, I immediately met Lu Nuyen and Know-How. Since the tennis match ended, I have blocked Lu Nuyen on WeChat. I must have completely disappeared from her world these past few days. Lu Nuyen saw me first. I don't know if it was because I hadn't seen her for a long time. After a while, as if wanting to prove something, she forcefully pulled Know-How into her arms. The action was too strong and sudden, causing Know-How pain. I frowned and quickly turned away. That action clearly caused Lu Nuyen to misunderstand. She pulled Know-How and began a series of confusing love actions, including cuddling, whispering, intimacy, and kissing. The situation became even more awkward when Know-How saw me. He cooperated even more with Lu Nuyen. I felt like I was a part of their play. They did that just to prove that they were very happy, that after leaving me, Lu Nuyen met Know-How and lived a happier life. But I absolutely don't care. I quickly left that fake couple. Perhaps in their eyes, I was the one who ran away in defeat. Fortunately, Liam Yuyan quickly appeared. When I saw her, I felt like I found mint candy in a polluted environment and immediately felt better. You haven't been here for a long time? She asked, a little guilty. I shook my head. When she walked closer, I also saw Lu Nuyen and Know-How in the distance. She stopped for a moment then suddenly stood in front of me, blocking their sight. She bowed her head, came closer and asked, what do you want to eat later? The distance was suddenly so close that I blushed a bit. Whatever, I replied. As I left with her, I glanced at Lu Nuyen's angry face. That's when I realized that Li Mo Yuyan did that on purpose. A strange feeling mixed with a bit of sweetness spread in my heart. Are you asking me to do that in front of Lu Nuyen because I want to win against her? Li Mo Yuyan suddenly stopped. That's true, but not really. Under the pale yellow streetlight, her eyes looked down at me, strangely gentle. I just want you to be the winner. My heart seemed to stop beating and then pound again, strong, clear and full of joy. That night when I got home, I suddenly received a text message from Lu Nuyen. Are you and Li Mo Yuyan dating? I didn't answer, but she continued texting. Are you and Li Mo Yuyan dating? Ah, I couldn't help but laugh coldly. What does it have to do with you? She immediately got angry. I thought you just wanted revenge, but I didn't expect you to be so shameless about dating my roommate. I have underestimated you. You're really good at flirting with girls. She said harsh words, but I didn't have any emotions. I just felt funny. Are you not ashamed to say that? Why was she the one who caught the fish in the first place? When she and I were still together, I never talked to Li Mo Yuyan. You dare say that when you're with me, you've never been secretly with someone else? After sending the message, I immediately blocked Lu Nuyen's number, not wanting to hear any more words from her. Before, maybe I would have been sad because of these words, but strangely, that night I slept very well and even dreamed a dream. In the second month of admission, the physics class I chose started. I initially chose this class because of Lu Nuyen. She often laughs at me for being a sociopath and not understanding anything about physics. But now that we broke up, I feel more comfortable. The practical part of the class is held in the laboratory building. Before entering, I silently prayed not to meet Lu Nuyen. Luckily she wasn't there, but Li Mo Yuyan was. The whole class knew about me and Li Mo Yuyan. Many people still avoid eye contact and tease. Li Mo Yuyan was assigned by her teachers to help her. Wearing a white-blue shirt, standing on the podium explaining the notes in the experiment. Her expression was serious, a bit cold, just like the first impression I had of her. Those beautiful eyes glanced over each person in the class. When she looked at me, she blinked quickly. I don't know if I was mistaken, but it seemed like a ray of warmth crossed her eyes. After the reception, practice officially begins. She walks through the lab tables, instructing you how to do things properly. Finally, she stopped in front of me. We can do this. I've been struggling, but I still can't do it. She suddenly reached out her hand. Long, strong fingers grabbed my hand, guiding me to rearrange the tools little by little. Understood? I nodded loudly, but my mind was blank, just like the last time we touched each other. It seems like the day I got drunk and hugged her. My eyes stopped at her chest, then slowly lowered. Only I know what kind of body is under that white shirt. My face is getting hotter and hotter. I bowed my head, not daring to look anymore. Tomorrow I can't wait until school is over. I was packing my things when she stood in front of me. Let's go eat. Do you believe in the same thing? The friends around looked at us and laughed teasingly. I bowed my head, my face turning red again. Maybe I'm imagining too much. On the way home after the meal, I searched for Tong, so we talked about all sorts of things until we reached the dormitory. I'm still confused. She called my name, looking at me like she was smiling. What did you think when you looked at me today? My head felt like it was exploding. Did she realize it? Are my eyes that obvious? The smile in her eyes deepened. Suddenly, she reached out and gently stroked my hair. Please text me back. I was stunned, answered vaguely, then turned around and went into the dormitory. After walking a long way, I realized what she just said.